The city lights shimmered through the glass walls of the towering office building. Rain splattered against the window as I sat across from her, my heart pounding. "Honestly, you're such a simp," she said, her tone icy, yet her eyes flickered with something unspoken. "You always drop everything for me, yet you never demand anything in return. It's pathetic." I swallowed the lump in my throat, feeling the sting of her words more sharply than I expected. Catherine, my wife, my CEO, the woman who ran a billion-dollar empire, was accusing me of weakness. I wanted to argue, to fight, to make her see I wasn't just a submissive husband. But instead, I smiled faintly, hiding the secret I had spent years carefully collecting, knowledge of events that would unfold in the future. The kind of knowledge that could make anyone rich, even Catherine. She leaned back in her leather chair, sipping her espresso like she owned the world. "If you had any ambition, you'd be using your talents instead of whatever it is you're doing." I met her gaze, steady, calm. "Maybe I have bigger plans than you think." Catherine laughed, sharp and dismissive. Plans, please. You couldn't even negotiate a simple deal last week without screwing it up." A flicker of frustration crossed her face, but then her attention snapped to her phone. Her eyes widened as she saw the latest market crash reports. How is this possible?" I leaned closer, my heart racing. "Maybe it's not luck, Catherine, maybe it's foresight." She turned to me, eyes narrowing, suspicion mixed with curiosity. "Foresight." I nodded slowly, the rain streaking down the window like the ticking hands of fate. "The kind that could change everything, if you're willing to listen." Her phone buzzed again. The market plummeted further, billions lost in minutes. And in that instant I realized this could be the moment where everything changed, or everything fell apart. Catherine's empire was crumbling in real time. And somehow, my secret knowledge might be the only thing that could save or destroy it. The rain had slowed to a drizzle, but the tension in the office was thicker than ever. Catherine's hands trembled slightly as she stared at her phone, scrolling through the market losses. You knew this was coming," she whispered, her voice a mix of awe and disbelief. I leaned casually against the glass wall, pretending nonchalance while my mind raced. "I didn't just know. I've been tracking patterns, events, everything. I can tell you exactly how to recover from this before anyone else even realizes it happened." Her eyes narrowed, suspicion, greed, fear, all in one gaze. "And why would you help me, after calling me a simp, after letting me think you're useless?" I let a small smile play across my lips. "Because you need me, and deep down you always have." She scoffed, but her fingers didn't stop hovering over the phone. "Fine, tell me, show me. But if this is a trick, I swear, I'll make sure you regret it." I handed her a folder, sleek and black, my signature on the corner. "Every move, every opportunity. If you follow this, you'll not just recover, you'll dominate. Billions, Catherine, billions you didn't even know were possible." Her hand shook as she opened it. Numbers, predictions, stock movements, all laid out with meticulous precision. Her lips parted, a mix of admiration and disbelief escaping. You're insane," she breathed. "Where did you get all this?" I shrugged, hiding the thrill behind my calm facade. "I told you, just foresight, you want it or not." Her eyes glimmered, but something else flashed: doubt. "And what do you want in return?" I hesitated, choosing my words carefully. "Nothing for now, but you'll owe me. One day, Catherine, one day everything will balance." She stared at me, the tension between us electrifying, before finally nodding. "Fine. Let's see if your future knowledge is as good as you claim, but one wrong move." Her words trailed off as her phone buzzed again. Another market shift, this one even more dangerous. The folder's predictions were accurate, every single one. Catherine realized that my simp husband might just be the most dangerous force in the financial world, and she had no idea how far I could go. Catherine's office was a war room now. Screens flashed with stock charts, global market indices, and financial news updates. Her usual calm, commanding presence was tinged with desperation, and I savored every moment of it. This is insane, she muttered, pointing at the numbers on her tablet. If we follow this exactly, we could recover everything by tomorrow morning. Billion-dollar gains, all of it. I leaned against the glass wall, crossing my arms. Exactly, but one wrong step and we lose everything. Timing is everything, Catherine. Precision is everything. She looked at me, eyes blazing. You make it sound like a game. You actually enjoy watching me sweat, don't you? I smiled faintly, letting her wonder if I did. Only a little. Catherine turned back to the tablet, her fingers flying over the screen. All right, let's do it. We execute your plan, every step. Hours passed like minutes. I watched her command her team, issuing orders with a speed and intensity I had never seen. The woman who had called me a simp was suddenly my greatest ally, my co-conspirator in a high-stakes game that could make or break her empire. And yet I noticed it, the subtle flickers in her expression, the way her gaze lingered on me longer than necessary. Curiosity, suspicion, desire. By the time dawn broke over the city, her office hummed with a tense energy. Every chart aligned perfectly. Every stock moved exactly as predicted. And Catherine, she looked at me differently now. You weren't lying, she whispered. Every move it worked, you're unbelievable. I shrugged, hiding the satisfaction behind a neutral expression. I told you, foresight, that's all it is. But even as we celebrated, I noticed her phone light up with an urgent message. Her brow furrowed. She opened it and her face paled. Catherine, what is it? I asked. Her voice trembled. It's not over. Someone knew we were going to make these moves. They're coming for us. Just as the first light of victory shone, a shadow emerged. Someone who knew too much about our plans, and they weren't friendly. The office, which had felt like a battlefield of triumph just moments ago, now felt suffocating. Catherine's fingers trembled over her phone as she read the message again. We know what you did. Don't think you can hide, or we'll take everything from you. Her usual composure cracked, replaced with a flicker of fear. Who would send this? She whispered, more to herself than to me. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. Someone who's watching, someone powerful, someone who doesn't want you to succeed. But that's okay. We've planned for this. What? Catherine's eyes widened. Planned? What do you mean? You knew someone could be watching. I nodded. I anticipated resistance. That's why we executed the moves in layers, redundancies. If anyone tries to stop us, they won't succeed. Not if we stick to the plan. Her lips parted, a mixture of awe and something else I couldn't name. You always know, don't you? Everything before it happens. I allowed myself a small, secretive smile. Let's just say I have a knack for predicting outcomes. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't a text, it was a video. The grainy footage showed her main trading server moments ago being accessed remotely by an unknown intruder. The figure's face was obscured, but the message was clear. Step away, or everything burns. Catherine's hands shook violently. They're going to ruin us. They're going to destroy everything I built. I placed a hand on her shoulder. Not if we're smart, not if we act fast. You trusted me once, trust me again. She looked into my eyes, searching for certainty. And for the first time, her icy, untouchable CEO mask softened into vulnerability. I don't know if I can handle this, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. I tightened my grip, leaning close enough for her to feel my breath. You can, and you will, because I won't let them win, not your empire, not you. Her chest heaved as adrenaline and fear intertwined. But before she could respond, her computer beeped. Another message. Tick-tock, the clock is running. Decide, comply, or everything ends. Someone powerful was threatening everything Catherine had built, and the clock was ticking. But they didn't know she wasn't alone. and that I had secrets they couldn't begin to imagine. The office was silent, save for the soft hum of servers and the occasional beep of incoming alerts. Catherine's hands hovered over the keyboard, her usual calm restored with a deadly focus, but the fear in her eyes lingered. "They think they can intimidate us," I said quietly, packing behind her desk. "They have no idea what we're capable of." Her eyes flicked to me, a mixture of admiration and lingering doubt. You're not scared." I shook my head. "Fear is useful, but I don't let it control me. Right now we fight." Catherine swallowed and typed furiously, initiating countermeasures I had already mapped out in my mind. Every stock, every account, every potential leak. I anticipated it all. By the time her intruder realized we were aware, it would be too late. Minutes stretched into hours. The intruder tried every trick: digital sabotage, misinformation, hacking into secondary systems. But we were always one step ahead. "Catherine," I said, leaning over her shoulder, "you're stronger than you think. You don't need to follow my lead, but right now, trust me. Just trust me." Her lips parted hesitant, then she nodded. "Okay, I trust you." With a few clicks and keystrokes, the intruder's access was traced. Their identity was still hidden, but their location had been pinpointed. A secure, offshore server they thought was untouchable. I smirked. "They underestimated you, and they underestimated me." Her eyes widened. Are we going to strike back?" I nodded. "We don't just defend, we go on the offensive. They threatened your empire, Catherine, they threatened you. Now we decide the rules." As she looked at me, something in her expression shifted. Something between awe, desire, and an unspoken acknowledgement of what I truly was. Not a simp, but a storm waiting to be unleashed. Suddenly her phone buzzed again. A video message. The figure from before appeared on screen, voice distorted. "You've slowed us down, but you can't stop what's coming. The next move will destroy everything. Tick-tock, tick-tock." Catherine's grip on the phone tightened. They know we're fighting back." I leaned closer, voice calm, eyes cold. "Good, let them know. Fear is their weakness, and we'll use it." The intruder was still out there, watching, waiting, and now they knew we weren't afraid. But their next move promised devastation beyond anything Catherine had faced, and I had a plan only I could execute. Night had fallen over the city, but the office remained alive with tension. Catherine sat in her chair, exhausted but alert, her eyes scanning every alert on the monitors. I stood behind her, silent, letting her take the lead, but always thinking 2 steps ahead. "Do you ever sleep?" she asked suddenly, her voice sharp but tinged with exhaustion. I shrugged. "Sleep is a luxury we can't afford right now, not with them still out there." Her eyes narrowed, a mixture of worry and admiration. "I still don't understand how you knew all this, all the market shifts, the intruder's moves, everything." I hesitated. How much should I reveal? My secret wasn't just foresight, it was knowledge of events years into the future, knowledge that could make or destroy anyone. But revealing too much now could put her in danger. "Some things," I said slowly, "are best kept between us. Right now, focus on survival." Her gaze lingered on me, searching for reassurance, for trust. Then she sighed, leaning back in her chair. "Fine, but don't think I won't figure it out eventually." The room went quiet, the calm before the storm. Then a faint ping echoed from her system, a breach attempt. The intruder had tried again, more aggressively this time. Catherine's hand flew to the keyboard, countering with lightning speed. "They're relentless," she muttered. "They underestimated us," I said, a cold smile forming. "And that's their mistake." Suddenly a shadow flickered outside the office window, a figure watching, waiting. My pulse quickened. Whoever it was, they had gotten closer than we expected. Catherine froze, noticing it too. "Someone's here outside." I moved closer, voice low. "Stay calm. Don't let them see fear. This is where we turn the tables." The intruder was bold, perhaps arrogant, thinking they could intimidate us in person. But they didn't know the advantage we held, the knowledge of their moves before they even made them. A faint knock echoed on the glass door. Catherine's breath hitched. I whispered, "Don't open it. Let them reveal themselves first. We'll decide the next move." The intruder was no longer just a digital threat. They were at our doorstep. And whoever stepped into the office next could change everything, for better or worse. The knock came again, 3 sharp taps, then silence. Catherine's breath hitched, her fingers gripping the edge of the desk so tightly her knuckles turned white. I stepped toward the glass door, the faint glow of city lights reflecting our silhouettes, hers trembling, mine still as stone. "Don't," she whispered. "What if it's them?" "That's exactly why I'm opening it," I said quietly. The door creaked as I pushed it open. The hallway beyond was dim, lined with the hum of security lights. Standing in the middle was a woman in a black coat, her hair damp from rain, her expression unreadable. "Who are you?" I demanded. She smirked. "Someone who knows you both very well." Catherine's voice cut through the tension. "I've never seen you before in my life." The woman stepped forward, her heels echoing against the marble floor. "Oh, you wouldn't, but he would." Her eyes locked onto mine. "Hello again, Ethan." My pulse spiked. No one in this timeline should have known that name. I'd buried it, along with everything about the life I lived before. Catherine turned to me sharply. "Ethan, who the hell is she?" The woman smiled coldly. "He didn't tell you, did he? The man you trust, the one who predicts the future, used to work for us, until he betrayed us." Catherine's eyes widened. "Us, what does that mean?" "She's lying," I said quickly, stepping between them. "Don't listen to her." The woman's laughter echoed through the office. "You haven't changed at all, still protecting her, still pretending you're something you're not." I clenched my fists. "What do you want?" She tilted her head. "Simple. Give us the formula, the one you're using to predict the markets, and we walk away. Refuse, and you both lose everything." Catherine's face went pale. "Formula, is that what all this is about?" I glanced at her, my secret unraveling faster than I could contain it. "Catherine, listen to me." But before I could finish, the woman pulled something from her coat pocket. A phone. She tapped it once. On Catherine's main screen, every number turned red. Her empire was collapsing before our eyes. The mysterious woman from my past had returned, and she wasn't after money. She wanted the one thing that tied my secret life and Catherine's empire together, my future knowledge. The room was suffocating. Red numbers flashed across every monitor, screaming disaster. Catherine's hands shook, but she didn't scream. Her CEO instincts were kicking in, forcing calm over panic. This can't be happening," she muttered, her voice tight. I stepped closer, trying to shield her from the chaos. "It's a diversion. Don't lose focus. I can fix this, but we have to move fast." The woman in black smiled, a predator watching a cornered animal. "Tick-tock, Ethan. Make the right choice or she loses everything and you lose her." Catherine looked at me, fear and trust warring in her gaze. "Is he telling the truth? Can you stop this?" I nodded slightly. "I can, but I need you to trust me completely." Her chest rose and fell. "You're asking me to risk everything again." "Yes," I said, my voice steady, "because if we don't, it's over, and they win." She took a deep breath, closing her eyes for a brief second. Then her fingers flew across the keyboard, following my instructions with precision. Together, we reversed the digital attack, outmaneuvering the intruder in real time. The woman in black's eyes narrowed. "Not bad, but not enough." I didn't flinch. "It's never enough until we decide it is." Suddenly, Catherine's screen went black. Silence. My heart skipped a beat. What happened?" she whispered. The woman smirked. "You passed my first test." Catherine blinked, confused. "Test?" "Yes," the woman said, turning toward the door. "I want to see if he's still loyal, if he's truly the man he pretends to be." I stared at her, anger and suspicion flaring. Loyal to whom? To you. She paused in the doorway, her smirk lingering. Loyalty can be very profitable or very deadly. You'll see soon enough. As she disappeared into the shadows, Catherine sank into her chair, exhausted and shaken. I knelt beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. She won't be the last threat, but we survived this, together. Her eyes met mine, a mixture of gratitude, desire, and something deeper, trust forming between us in the chaos. But outside the office, unseen cameras and whispers promised. This was only the beginning. The intruder's game wasn't over, and neither was the test of loyalty. One wrong move, and Catherine could lose everything, and I could lose her forever. The storm outside raged louder than before, rain battering the skyscraper windows like the pulse of fate itself. Catherine sat across from me, her eyes sharp but unreadable. The chaos had calmed, yet a silence lingered between us, dangerous and charged. Finally, she broke it. You're going to tell me the truth now, aren't you? I hesitated. Which truth do you want first? Her jaw tightened. The one that explains who that woman was and why she called you Ethan. I looked out the window, the city lights reflected like 1,000 memories. Before I met you, I worked for a private intelligence group. We gathered data, economic trends, government secrets, insider forecasts. I saw what was coming before it happened. Catherine's eyes narrowed. And you quit? I nodded, because I realized how dangerous that knowledge could be. People would kill for it, and they did. Her expression softened slightly, but suspicion lingered. So this future knowledge, these predictions, it's all real. It's more than real, I said, turning to her. It's a roadmap to everything that's going to happen over the next decade. Wars, collapses, breakthroughs, even who wins and who loses everything. Her breath caught. And you used that to help me. I smiled faintly. You called me a simp, remember? Maybe I just wanted to prove you wrong. She stared at me for a long moment, eyes glimmering with something she couldn't quite express. But before either of us could speak again, her office lights flickered. Once, twice, then went out. Darkness swallowed the room. Backup generator should have kicked in, she whispered. This isn't normal. My instinct screamed, they're back. The screens blinked once more, and then a single message appeared in red across all monitors. You chose wrong, Ethan. Now she pays the price. Catherine gasped, spinning toward me. What do they mean by that? Before I could answer, the sound of shattering glass echoed through the floor below. The building's security alarms blared. I grabbed her hand. We have to move now. We ran through the emergency exit, the glow of fire alarms flashing crimson over her pale face. Every corridor echoed with footsteps, some ours, some not. Who are they? She cried out. People who think the future belongs to them, I said, pulling her toward the stairwell. But tonight we change that. Somewhere below, the intruders were closing in. Catherine was the target, and I was running out of time to keep her alive without revealing the ultimate secret. I already knew how this night would end. The stairwell echoed with our hurried footsteps, a chaotic rhythm against the storm outside. Catherine's hand gripped mine tightly, her usual composure gone, replaced by raw fear, and something else, a spark of trust she hadn't shown me before. They're everywhere, she whispered, her voice tight. They're fast, I replied, keeping my eyes on the emergency exit at the bottom of the stairwell. But not fast enough, not if we stay 2 steps ahead. Her heart raced visibly, each breath sharp in the confined space. 2 steps ahead, that's how you've always done it, isn't it? I allowed a small smile, but it didn't reach my eyes. You have to. One misstep, one hesitation, and it's over. As we reached the lobby, the storm outside slammed against the glass walls, masking the sound of approaching footsteps behind us. Security cameras flickered, either compromised or deliberately turned off. The intruder had every advantage. Suddenly, a shadow moved across the open floor. The woman in black emerged, her coat dripping rainwater, a smirk playing across her lips. Running, Ethan. Really? Catherine froze for just a fraction of a second, enough for her adrenaline to spike and for me to catch her trembling. I whispered in her ear, low and urgent, "Follow my lead. Do exactly as I say." The woman raised her hand slowly, feigning surrender. "I just want the formula. Give it to me and no one gets hurt." Catherine's eyes darted between us, confusion and fear swirling. "Formula? Ethan, is this true?" I shook my head. "No, don't give them anything, they're bluffing." A sudden explosion of glass from the side entrance sent shards flying. The intruder's accomplices had arrived, masked figures moving with lethal precision. Catherine screamed, and instinctively I pushed her behind a pillar. "Stay down." Bullets ricocheted off marble, the chaos lit by flashing alarms. And in that moment I realized something crucial. Catherine wasn't just my responsibility anymore. She was a weapon, a partner. And together, we could turn the tide. I grabbed her hand, pulling her through a maintenance door I had memorized from previous reconnaissance. "We're not running. We're going to lead them right into our trap." Catherine's eyes widened. "Trap? What trap?" I leaned close, whispering with certainty only someone who knew the outcome could have. "One they won't see coming, because I've already seen it." Outside, armed intruders swarmed the building. Inside, Catherine and I had disappeared, but the trap was set. The next move would decide everything, our survival and her empire. The maintenance corridors were narrow, dark, and smelled of damp concrete. Catherine's breaths echoed as we moved silently, every step calculated. The alarms above roared like distant thunder, masking the distant shouts of intruders hunting us. You actually planned this," she whispered, awe and fear in her voice. I glanced at her, my face calm, my mind racing. Every building has weaknesses. Every attacker has habits. I already knew how they'd move tonight. That's the advantage we have. Her eyes widened. You knew? That's insane." I gave her a faint, almost teasing smile. "Insane, maybe. Effective, absolutely." We reached a service hatch I had memorized months ago, leading to an underground access tunnel that ran beneath the building. "Through here," I said. "It's narrow, but it leads straight to the utility room. From there, we can control the surveillance system and turn their advantage against them." Catherine's heart pounded. "Control, meaning we can fight them digitally and physically at the same time." I nodded. "Exactly. We're not just surviving, we're taking the battle to them." She looked at me with a mixture of admiration and disbelief. "You're terrifying and brilliant." A brief tense silence followed as we crept through the tunnel. Then a faint click echoed behind us. Footsteps. Someone had followed. I pressed my finger to my lips. "Stay calm, don't look back." The figure stepped into the dim light. Masked, armed, professional. One glance at them told me they were skilled, trained, and overconfident. I whispered, "Let me handle this." With a swift, practiced movement, I disarmed the intruder before they even realized I was there. Catherine gasped. Is he dead?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Not dead," I said calmly, stepping over the incapacitated figure. "Just delayed. We don't kill unless necessary, efficiency first." She nodded, trying to calm her racing heart. Then, her eyes flicked to the tunnel's end, where the glow of monitors from the utility room beckoned. "This is it?" she asked. I took her hand. "This is it. The moment we turn the game around, and from here, your empire becomes untouchable." Behind us, more intruders closed in, unaware that they were walking straight into our trap. And ahead, the controls that could destroy or save everything lay within our grasp, if we survived the next few minutes. The utility room buzzed with the hum of servers and fluorescent lights. Catherine's eyes darted across the monitors, which displayed every camera feed in the building. She took a deep breath, finally understanding the power we now held. This is insane, she whispered, her voice trembling between awe and excitement. I stepped beside her, scanning the feeds. Every move they make is visible, every path they take is predictable, and they don't even know we're in control. Catherine swallowed. So we trap them. I nodded. Exactly, but we have to be precise. One wrong click, one hesitation, and they escape, or worse, harm you. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, following my instructions. Each camera, each door lock, each hallway was manipulated with surgical precision. The intruders moved through the building, unaware that their every step was being predicted and blocked. Then an alert blinked red on the screen. One of the masked intruders had spotted our escape route and was attempting to intercept us. "Catherine," I said calmly, "redirect the doors, seal the stairwell behind us, force them into the central hall, exactly where we want them." Her hands trembled, but she executed flawlessly. Red lights flashed in corridors as automatic locks engaged. Sirens blared, creating confusion and panic among the attackers. I could see them on the monitors, trapped, turning in circles like rats in a maze. Catherine's face lit up with adrenaline-fueled triumph. They're trapped," she whispered, disbelief and exhilaration mingling. I nodded, just as planned. Suddenly, the woman in black appeared on a camera feed, her expression one of shock and fury. How is this possible?" she hissed. I leaned closer to Catherine. "They underestimated us, and that's their first and biggest mistake." She looked at me, her eyes filled with a mix of gratitude, respect, and something deeper. "Ethan, I placed a finger to her lips, cutting her off gently. "Not now. Focus. The game isn't over until it's over." From the monitors, I could see their desperation escalating. They were dangerous, yes, but predictable, and with every move we forced, they fell deeper into our trap. The intruders were trapped. But the woman in black had one final move left, a card she hadn't played yet. And when she did, everything we had built could crumble in an instant. Catherine's hands hovered over the keyboard, her fingers poised yet trembling. The intruders were trapped exactly where we wanted them, but the woman in black wasn't finished. I could see it in her eyes on the monitor. A final, desperate move was coming. "She's planning something," I murmured, "something big." Catherine glanced at me, worry mixing with determination. "What kind of move?" I shook my head. "I don't know yet, but it won't be small. Prepare for anything." Suddenly every monitor flickered, then went black. Panic flashed in Catherine's eyes. No, this can't be happening." I grabbed her hand, steadying her. "Stay calm, it's just a delay, she's trying to throw us off." From the corner of the room, a faint red glow appeared, an emergency override she must have triggered remotely. The screens came back to life, but instead of showing the intruders, a live feed appeared. The woman in black, standing in front of Catherine's executive office. "Surprise," she said, her voice cold, dripping with malice. "Did you really think you could trap me so easily?" Catherine's breath caught. She's inside the building." I narrowed my eyes. "Yes, and she wants something only I can give her." The woman smirked. "Give me the formula or your precious empire, and your little wife ends tonight." Catherine's hands trembled. "Ethan, what do we do?" I stepped closer, my eyes locking onto hers. "We don't give her anything. She thinks she's in control, but she's walking straight into the trap we set together." From my pocket, I pulled a small device, an emergency override for the building's security. With a flick, doors slammed shut, cutting off the woman in black from the rest of the intruders. They were isolated, cornered, and completely visible on our monitors. Catherine's eyes widened in awe. You planned for this." I smiled faintly. "Everything, every step, every move. That's why foresight is powerful, and that's why she underestimated us." The woman in black's expression turned from confident to furious. She pulled out a phone, signaling the remaining intruders, but it was too late. The building's security systems, now under our control, blocked every exit. She glared at the camera. "This isn't over, Ethan. You think this is the end, but it's only the beginning." I leaned toward Catherine, whispering, "Don't worry. I've seen the beginning, middle, and end of this night, and we survive." Catherine's eyes met mine, a mixture of awe, fear, and something deeper, trust forged in fire. The woman in black was trapped, but her threat remained. And somewhere in the shadows, she had a plan that even I hadn't fully predicted, one that could cost everything. The intruders were trapped, the woman in black seething behind her barricade, but the adrenaline of the night hadn't left us. Catherine and I stood in the utility room, breathing heavily, her hands still clasped in mine. "I can't believe we did it," she whispered, her voice trembling. "They're trapped." I shook my head slowly. "It's not over." She's furious, and furious people are dangerous. Her gaze softened, a mixture of awe and something else I couldn't name. You really are something else, Ethan. I don't know how to even begin thanking you." I allowed myself a faint smile. "You don't have to thank me, just stay with me, stay focused. That's thanks enough." She leaned closer, resting her head briefly on my shoulder. "I never realized you were so strong, not just in business but in everything, in life." I swallowed, feeling a warmth I hadn't allowed myself to feel in years. "You'll see, Catherine, when you trust someone fully, strength isn't just about muscles or plans. It's about knowing you'll survive together no matter what." She lifted her gaze, eyes shining. "Together, yes, I trust you." For a moment the storm outside seemed distant, the chaos paused. We allowed ourselves a breath, a fleeting moment of calm. But the screens blinked. The woman in black, despite being trapped, was still sending threats. Her message was clear: she wasn't defeated. Not yet. I studied the monitors. "She's smart, maybe too smart, but she's predictable, and we have the advantage now. One last move and this ends our way." Catherine nodded, determination flashing across her face. "Then let's finish it." The city beyond the windows seemed oblivious to the storm inside the building. But I knew it was only the eye of the hurricane. The final confrontation was approaching. The woman in black had one last card, one move that could either destroy everything or cement our victory. And in a few moments, everything would change. The utility room felt smaller now, the hum of servers a tense drumbeat. Catherine's hand tightened around mine. Her eyes, once wide with fear, now burned with determination. "She's going to try one last thing," I murmured. "And it won't be digital. She'll come at us personally." Catherine nodded, her jaw set. "Then we're ready." The lights flickered as the door to the utility room creaked. Slowly, the woman in black emerged, wet from the rain, her smirk replaced with something darker, rage tempered with cunning. "You think trapping me was smart," she hissed. "You have no idea what I'm capable of." I stepped in front of Catherine, my stance protective but controlled. "I do, and you underestimated us. That's your mistake." She lunged suddenly, a knife glinting in her hand. I sidestepped, using her momentum to send her crashing into the servers. Sparks flew. Alarms blared. Catherine gasped, "Ethan." I grabbed her hand. "Stay behind me." The woman struggled, but I had predicted her moves, every strike, every attempt. Using precise force, I disarmed her, pinning her against the wall. She glared at me, furious, powerless. You'll pay for this," she spat. I smiled faintly, leaning close. "You already did. You underestimated me. You underestimated her, and now you're finished." Catherine stepped forward, her eyes cold, authoritative. "Leave, now, or I ensure you never touch anything again." The woman glared one last time before backing away, disappearing into the shadows she had come from. Silence settled over the room. Catherine exhaled, leaning against me. I can't believe it's over." I placed a hand on her cheek, brushing damp strands of hair away. "It's over. Together we survived. Together we won." Her eyes met mine, vulnerability and trust mingling with something more. You're not a simp, she whispered. I smirked, not even close. And for the first time that night, the storm outside seemed distant. The city lights reflected in her eyes as she smiled, a genuine, unguarded smile. The woman in black was gone, but her network could return. Yet, for the first time, Catherine and I knew the truth. Together, nothing could stand in our way. The sun rose over the city, washing the skyscrapers in gold. Catherine and I stood in her office, surveying the empire we had just defended. The chaos of last night still lingered in memory, but the air now carried a fragile sense of victory. Everything survived, Catherine whispered, her fingers brushing over the sleek desk. I can't believe it. I smiled softly. Not just survived, you thrived, and soon you'll dominate again more than ever. She turned to me, eyes still wary but softer than before. You saved me, saved everything I've built. Why put yourself through all that risk? I shrugged, trying to keep my expression casual though my chest was pounding. Because I saw the end before it happened. Because I knew you were worth it. And maybe because I wanted to prove something to you. Catherine's lips curved into a small, reluctant smile. You've proven a lot more than I realized. We spent the morning reviewing finances, securing accounts, and restructuring her team. Every step she took was precise, confident, yet every glance she stole at me carried something unspoken. As the day progressed, I noticed the subtle changes in her demeanor. Trust replacing doubt, curiosity replacing suspicion, and admiration evolving into something deeper. During a brief pause, she looked out the window, her expression thoughtful. You know, I called you a simp. I was wrong. You've been everything I needed and more. I approached her slowly, careful not to rush. Then let's make sure no one ever threatens this again, together. Her hand found mine, warm and steady. Together, she agreed. But even in that calm, my mind lingered on the woman in black. Her network wasn't gone, just dormant. And while we had won the battle, the war could return at any moment. Catherine's empire was saved, but the shadows of the past remained. And as we rebuilt, an unseen enemy watched from afar, waiting for the perfect moment to strike again. The office was quiet now, the city's golden light streaming through the glass walls. Catherine leaned back in her chair, exhausted yet triumphant. I stood behind her, watching her, admiring more than I let her see. You know, she said softly, I never realized how much I underestimated you. I smirked. Underestimating me seems to be a recurring theme with you. Her lips twitched into a small laugh, but her eyes stayed serious. No, I mean it. You've saved me, my empire, and yourself in the process. You weren't just planning moves on the market, you were planning for us. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. Catherine, I've always been planning for you. Not just for survival, not just for the empire, but for us, if you let me. Her eyes softened, searching mine. The walls she'd built around her heart began to crumble, revealing the vulnerability she never showed anyone. I want to trust you, she admitted, voice barely above a whisper. But I've been burned before, and this is a lot. I reached out, brushing her hair from her face, my thumb lingering on her cheek. Then start small. Trust me with one thing at a time. I promise. I won't let you down. She leaned into my touch, a quiet surrender that made my chest tighten. One thing at a time, she repeated, almost to herself. We spent the afternoon side by side, reviewing plans, restructuring teams, and sharing quiet moments between the chaos. Each smile, each touch, each shared glance deepened a connection neither of us could ignore. As evening fell, the city lights reflected in her eyes, and I realized this wasn't just about business anymore. It was about her and about us. The empire was safe, but as Catherine and I drew closer, the shadows of the past still lingered. And someone watching from the outside knew that our growing bond made us stronger and potentially vulnerable. The office lights were dimmed now, the city outside glowing like a sea of fireflies. Catherine and I lingered after the day's work, the adrenaline of survival giving way to an intimacy neither of us had fully acknowledged. "You've changed everything," she said softly, her voice carrying a mix of awe and warmth. "Not just my empire, me. I didn't think anyone could see me, really see me." I stepped closer, letting my hand brush hers. "I've always seen you, Catherine, the real you. Not the CEO, not the maska, but you. The woman who fights, who dreams, who trusts, even when she's scared." Her eyes searched mine, lingering on my lips for just a moment longer than necessary. "And you've always been there. Even when I thought you were just," she trailed off, the words unspoken but clear. "Just what?" I asked softly, gently. "Just someone who couldn't protect me, someone I thought was weak." I shook my head, closing the small distance between us. "I'm not weak, I never was, and I'm not going anywhere. Not now, not ever." Her breath hitched as I took her hand in mine, then gently held her face. "We've been through hell together tonight, Catherine, but it's not just about surviving. It's about us, about trust, and about what comes next." For a long moment we simply stared at each other, the tension and unspoken feelings thick in the air. Then slowly she leaned in, her lips brushing mine, a whisper of a kiss that held every unspoken word, every promise, every fear, and every hope. When we pulled back, her eyes were bright with emotion. I don't want to hide from this anymore." I smiled, brushing her hair behind her ear. "Then don't. We face everything together, from enemies to challenges to us." The night outside was calm, but the electricity between us was undeniable. As Catherine and I drew closer, forming a bond stronger than any threat, a shadow still lingered. Someone outside was plotting, waiting for the moment to strike, and this time our connection could be both our strength and our vulnerability. The city was quiet now, a deceptive calm settling over the skyscrapers. Catherine and I had finally allowed ourselves a brief moment of peace, her hand in mine, her presence grounding me. But I knew better than to trust the silence completely. A faint ping sounded from her office computer. I frowned. "That's not normal." Catherine's eyes narrowed. "It's probably just a delayed alert, right?" I didn't answer. Instead, I scanned the screen. A single message appeared, simple, chilling. "You think you've won? You're wrong. One last move." Catherine's grip on my hand tightened. "It's her, the woman in black, she's back." I nodded, my pulse steady despite the adrenaline surging through me. "Yes, and this time she's not just after your empire, she's after us. Everything we built, everything we are, she wants to destroy." Catherine's gaze met mine, a mix of fear and determination. "Then we fight together." I smiled faintly. "Exactly, together." We spent the next hours preparing, fortifying the building's security, setting traps, and predicting her moves with precision. Every possible avenue she could exploit was already covered. As night fell, shadows lengthened, and the woman in black appeared on the top-floor surveillance feed, her figure silhouetted against the storm-lit city. She moved like a ghost, confident, dangerous, and certain she could destroy us. I whispered to Catherine, "This is it. One final confrontation. Everything depends on staying focused and trusting each other." Her hand found mine, squeezing tightly. "I trust you, Ethan, always." I nodded, taking a deep breath. "Then let's finish this, together." The countdown had begun. Outside, her allies stirred, waiting to strike. Inside, Catherine and I prepared to face the threat head-on. And in the shadows, the woman in black smirked, unaware that her final move had already been anticipated. The ultimate confrontation was about to unfold. Catherine's empire, our lives, and our bond were all on the line. One wrong step, and everything could be lost. The storm outside raged with fury, lightning illuminating the city like flashes of destiny. Catherine and I stood side by side in the top-floor office, the woman in black confronting us through the surveillance feed, her confidence palpable. You really think you can stop me? She sneered. You're outnumbered, outsmarted, and outplayed. I stepped forward, calm and composed. Maybe, but you didn't count on one thing. Catherine glanced at me, her brow furrowed. What? Us, I said simply. Together we've already anticipated every move. You're out of options. The woman's face twisted with frustration as we remotely triggered the final traps we had set. Her team was locked out, every escape route sealed, and her communications intercepted. She realized too late that we had turned her game against her completely. Catherine's fingers flew over the keyboard, finalizing the lockdown. It's over, she whispered, a smile breaking through her exhaustion. The monitors went black one by one. Silence fell. The woman in black had vanished, defeated, powerless to touch us or Catherine's empire ever again. I turned to her, feeling the tension of the past hours melt into relief. It's over. We won. Catherine exhaled, leaning against me. We did it together. I never should have doubted you. I cupped her face gently, brushing rain-damp hair from her cheek. You don't have to doubt me anymore. Not ever, because I'll always be here. For you, for us. Her lips curved into a soft, genuine smile. I'm not letting you go again, Ethan. Not after everything. And then, as the first sunlight of morning broke over the city, we finally allowed ourselves to relax. She rested her head on my shoulder and I held her close. The empire was safe, the threats neutralized, and for the first time there was peace. Catherine laughed softly, a sound I had never heard from her before, light, free, unburdened. You weren't a simp, you were my hero all along. I smiled, brushing my lips against her forehead. And you were worth every risk. Outside, the city stirred to life, unaware of the storm that had passed in one of its tallest towers. Inside, Catherine and I stood together, stronger than ever, bound by trust, love, and the unshakable knowledge that whatever the future held, we would face it side by side. The woman in black was gone, the empire secure, and Catherine and I had discovered something far more valuable than money or power. The power of love, trust, and partnership. Together, we had turned the impossible into reality.